G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Scott.
Two dads again from Australia, and we're coming to you today from a 2019 Kia Rio GT-Line.
Excellent.
Now mate, I thought we'd try the new Kia Rio GT-Line today because I suppose, you know, you could look at this car as maybe an option for a second car in the family.
Yes.
Or maybe like we talked about before, like with the Mazda 2s and things, like maybe a first car for somebody if they're learning to drive and things like that.
I think I quite often see this car as that entry level first car. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right. And the GT line, people probably are aware that it's sort of Kia's sporty line in their model range and everything. So I think this model came out sort of around about second quarter last year, something like that.
Okay.
So I thought we'd stick our hands up and have a bit of a drive.
Okay. Yeah.
Now the interesting thing about this is that being the sporty version of the Rio, it comes with a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbo.
Whoa.
It actually sounds pretty good, actually. I like it. It's got 88 kilowatts at 6,300 RPM, 177 Newton meters from 1,500 to 4,000 RPM, so pretty low in the rev range.
Yes.
It only weighs 1,176 kilos too.
Wow, that's light. Yeah.
It is light, yeah. So it comes with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission in Australia, which gives it a combined fuel consumption figure of about 5.4 litres per 100 Ks, with a 45 litre tank in the back, and it takes regular unleaded, which is good.
Okay. Yes.
It's really good.
Yep.
And it's a 5-door hatchback, little 5-door hatchback. Okay. Now, you've had a drive of this car.
I have.
Give us your impressions. What do you think? Fun and family friendly?
So it's the GT one, right? So it's got a bit of fun in it. Yeah, we can get to that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, okay. So it's entry level. It's a small car, right? And
well, it's the top of the range Rio. So I mean, it's small car.
Yes.
But
I suppose the range in terms of Kia Rio is sort of like the entry level though, in terms of their cars. So, but yes, this one is decked out with lots of stuff. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I think the price of the car, the price is $22,990 drive away at the moment. Right. Okay. That puts it smack bang in the middle of a lot of other cars, doesn't it? Like, you know, either little size bigger cars and smaller cars. So it's a really competitive spot, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I love about us reviewing cars more than anything, Justin. I reckon is this absolutely looking at what car manufacturers can do for the price, right? And this is it's got to be the hardest segment to actually sell a car at $23,000.
Yeah, it's very popular, isn't it?
So you asked my impressions, right? So one of the things driving it around, having a drive, was I kept getting surprised that it had some features that I wasn't expecting, right? Okay. Auto start, auto stop. Oh, okay, wow, it's got that as well. Okay, and then and it's got Apple CarPlay. Oh wow, it's got that as well. And then it's got AEB, I think, as well. Yeah. And it's like, and it's got the metal pedals, like, you know, down there, and it's got all these nice little touches in it. And I'd say, oh, okay, that's the last little surprise. And then I'd turn around and then there'd be another little surprise. So it is really well kitted out. And lots of little things I would like on a car, I've got to say. So I think it's quite impressive in that sense.
Yeah, I quite like the sportiness about it. I mean, like, you know, we try and harp on about, like, let's find a fun and family friendly car. The fun side of this thing is the GT line aspect, I reckon. It's like, it's got a body kit. You've seen the twin exhaust pipes at the back?
Yep.
That's really cool.
So if we talk about the outside, it looks great, right?
Yeah,
I've seen them in the traffic, and I knew we had this weekend and stuff, and I looked at it during the week. I saw heaps in the traffic, right?
17
and they really stand in.
17-inch alloy wheels for a little car like this. That's pretty good too.
Yep.
Look, you're talking about
lane assist.
Lane keep assist as well.
Another surprise that I got this morning.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. It is packed with a lot of good features. But as I was saying, I think, you know, for the money, it looks pretty cool too.
Yes, so, absolutely.
Ride, suspension, handling, how do you think it drives?
I thought steering was good. I pushed it around a few corners, not much body roll. It seemed to go really well, and it had that sort of sporty, fun little feel to it.
Well, it's another car that Kia's like done their usual Australian tune to it,
yes,
everything like that. So
I think suspension I found was okay. I didn't have any issues with that at all.
I like it actually. It's pretty fun to drive actually. I mean, it's even. I mean, it doesn't even have independent rear suspension. It's like a torsion beam.
Oh, okay.
So for what that is, it's pretty a fun little car actually. Goes well. Engine. I think the engine's really good in this thing for a 1 litre, 3-cylinder. It's pretty gutsy.
So I think it's good. Yeah, I agree. I think the one thing I would, if someone lived in quite a hilly area, just trying to get up some of those hills, you really have to give it some, right? But around flat roads and stuff, because of the weight and everything, I think it's fine.
Yep.
I just found getting up a few hills this morning, it was really struggling a little bit at first. So where we live, no problems. But if you live somewhere hilly, you may want to consider that.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I picked out on this car, which I think could make it a little better if it did have it, paddles.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't have paddles.
That really gives it the sporty feel.
It's got the GT-Line steering wheel, it's got the nice trim in the car, the seats are pretty good too.
Yes, they are.
Like the outside looks pretty cool, especially in this yellow too. Like it stands out.
Very bright car.
Very bright car. But if it just had paddles, I think it'd just add to it. It'd be a little bit more fun to drive. Yeah,
I agree with you there.
Yeah. But talking about some of the safety features that's got, you mentioned like autonomous emergency braking. It's got lane keep assist, rear sensors, and a camera.
And a camera for this little car, it's very
which
good.
is really good. LED tail lights and headlights. It's even got these little, like when you turn a corner, the LEDs sort of go on either side
the
at
adaptive
nighttime.
stuff. So
I don't know if it's adaptive, but it's like corner LEDs or something. So that's pretty good too. So 7-inch, as you mentioned, the touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. But I think you mentioned this before we started. There's no built-in nav. You have to actually use your own phone to do the nav.
Yes.
Which can start adding up if, depending on your, your
data usage
and
your
stuff
phone.
like that. And the one thing that I thought, I mean, look, everybody wants more in a car.
They don't want to pay anymore. They want more features.
Look, it's not a deal breaker for me, but like it's only got manual air conditioning too. Like, I'm not used to something like that these days. I'm used to like the digital automatic air conditioning. So
fair enough.
That's
but the flip side, I got in this morning and I thought it was all just really simple, easy to use. I quite like the uncluttered sort of look and feel of the dash and everything. So
that's right.
Yeah. I mean, when I say uncluttered, you've still got a full function steering wheel, right? With all the settings on here, a little bit flat bottom at the, as well. So
that's right.
It's a really good feel behind the car.
Yep. In terms of family friendliness, you had to sit in the back.
I did.
How did you find it?
As you would expect for this size of car, it wasn't a lot of space. I had it in my driving position as always, so there was just enough room to get my legs in. They weren't just touching the seat almost.
I think somebody your size, there's only going to be 2 in the back, isn't there?
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And that middle seat doesn't look that comfortable the rest of the time, so most of the time it'd be 2 people, I think. But the ability to have a third sometimes. A full-size adult can sit in the back there for a little while. You just wouldn't want to be a long trip. They have cut out the back seat and everything and made as much space as they can so that your legs do fit in there. And headroom, I had, inch or 2 above me, so there was enough headroom. It was fine.
This car, is it? So that's pretty good.
No issues with that at all.
I had a look at the boot before, and the boot space is actually pretty good for the size of the car too.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. 60-40 split as well. Now, mate, X Factor. Is this something that you would park, look back at it? I don't think you'd miss it in the yellow. So.
Yeah, definitely not miss it. No. I've tried to put myself in the position of it being a first car. And I had something sort of like, this is my first car, and it was fun, right? And I loved all the bling on it on the outside. Yes, I would look back at it because I think they've got some nice attention to detail there.
Yeah, it does stand out a bit, doesn't it? So,
I'd be proud of buying this car as a first car, and I think it has got the X factor.
Yeah, and just harping back to like what you get for your money, I think this is pretty good value for money at $22,990 drive away. Because if you look at some of the other competitors out there, when we drove the Suzuki Swift Sport, that's more expensive than one of these, even though it's
also
got more,
a good car, but
it's got a lot, it's got a bit more performance, I suppose. But Mazda 2, there isn't really a sporty Mazda 2, I suppose. But I'd say this is a car you'd look at between Mazda 2 and one of these as well. So,
yep. And we have to repeat the same thing we say about all the Kias, right? Is that if this is going to be, say, a first car or the second car run around, 7 years warranty, the cost of servicing. I mean, we sound like we're harping on the same message all the time, right? But
it's a broken record, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. But it is so compelling that for this sort of car and people buying this, it gives them so much assurity of pretty cheap motoring.
Well, yeah. The servicing's cheap on it too. Yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong that way.
No risk, not much cost.
Which is good, so it's all right. Anyway, just want to put a big thank you to our friends at KIA Australia for the loan of the Rio GT-Line. Fun little 1 litre car. Hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fun actually. I'm having a lot of fun just driving it around quickly around a few little corners.
So I guess we'll see you next time.
Thanks everyone.